welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing my labor and delivery story. But before I get started, I want to wish you all a happy new year. I was able to celebrate New Year's, and then the day after is when I started getting the contractions. So it all started January 2nd. I started to get contractions, and we went to the hospital. They, checked to see how far I dilated, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. So in order to get admitted to the hospital, you have to be at least 4 centimeters dilated. So Cisco, my mom and I, we decided to go walk around to see if my contractions would get closer together. And we went to Target, we ate at Panera, then we went to a park and we walked for like 3 hours, literally. And we went upstairs, down the stairs like several times. And I was just like, you know what? I feel like my contractions are getting further apart than closer together. So I told them that we should probably head on home and then, go from there. We got home. Literally, guys, I was in pain the whole night, the entire night. I was in so much pain. I didn't want to go to the hospital until my contractions were 5 minutes apart, and my contractions were like 10 minutes to 7 minutes apart. I would try to wait longer and longer and longer, but the pain was just getting more consistent because the contractions were happening a lot sooner. So I think it was like noon, January 3rd. I think it was around like noon that I was just like, okay, I think my contractions are like 5 minutes apart. I think we should head on over to the hospital. So we did. So we went to the hospital around noon, January 3rd. And same thing, they check you just to make sure that you're dilated, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, so they admitted me to the hospital. I'm trying to remember everything that happened. Everything happened so fast, guys. Like, I know it seems like forever, but everything is happening so quickly that it's just crazy. So I got a phenomenal nurse. I fell in love with her. She was just so awesome, and I was just so lucky to have her. Unfortunately, her shift ended at 7 o'clock, so I had to get another nurse, which I didn't really want to do. I wanted to keep the same nurse, but obviously she has a life and she needs to go home and stuff. So anyway, I fell in love with this nurse. She was awesome. She talked to me about the epidural and how she doesn't like pain, so she would recommend the epidural. I got the epidural, not right away because they needed to do some like blood tests or something in order for you to get the epidural. So I think I was 6 centimeters dilated when I got the epidural. I always wanted to know what a contraction feels like. A contraction feels like a period cramp on steroids, and it's consistent, so it's annoying. It always comes back. And then the epidural, that feels like not painful. It feels like you're just getting like poked. I felt a tiny bit of pressure, almost like near a nerve or something. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's not painful. It's not as bad as I imagined it to be, you know what I mean? So the epidural was fine, and that just kind of relaxes you. I think I took a little nap, which was lovely. They go over like all the consents that you have to sign, like all the forms. They hook you up to the IV. They did some blood work on me. Oh yeah, they put that catheter on me because obviously with the epidural you can't get up and go to the bathroom. And then they would just like sit me in different positions. Like they would sit me up and then with my legs like butterfly, and then they would turn me to my side. They would turn me like all sorts of different ways. By the way, guys, I hate the gowns at the hospital. Like, whoever invented that is just, I do not know what they were thinking. They should have done like a long shirt or something like that. They had me on a like water diet, or I forget what they call it. I'm so bad at remembering these things. I didn't eat anything. I didn't eat anything all night, obviously, because I was in pain, and then all morning. So I was really hungry, like really hungry, but they had me on like a water diet. I forget what they call it. So I had like vegetable broth, chicken broth, jello, I'm trying to think what else I had. Like apple juice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was starving, guys. I was so hungry. So anywho, 7 o'clock comes around. Another nurse is going to take over the place of the nurse that was helping me. That was super helpful, and oh my god, I just loved her so much. She took such good care of me. The other nurse I didn't like so much. I didn't like the way she did anything. I was just like, oh man, my baby's coming. I started to get the urge of pooping, and she said, if you get the urge of pooping, call me. So I called her, and then I started pushing. Now this was seriously a nightmare, the pushing part. And the nurse, I didn't like the nurse. I didn't like how she dealt with things. I pushed for literally, guys, 3 hours straight. 3 hours straight. I was seriously out of breath. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was hungry. And the nurse just basically sucked at being a nurse. I pushed for 3 long hours. I literally was out of oxygen, so I needed to have the oxygen mask on in order to be able to push, because I was so exhausted, tired, and hungry. Like literally I had no food in my system, and this lady was making me push for like that long. I thought it was ridiculous. That was probably the hardest part about labor, the pushing. The pushing for so long, and it's like you push for 10 seconds, guys, like, and that's 3 times. So for 30 seconds you're pushing, and it's exhausting. So that, I would have to say, was the hardest part for me. That's just my personal experience. As soon as the 3 hours hit, she called my doctor, and my doctor came in. She checked me, and then I saw her put on the little like gown that they put on, and then she's like, okay, push, and then I pushed and the baby came out. I was just like, I've been pushing for 3 hours and you just come and the baby's out. Like, when the baby was out, I was just like, really? That was it? That was it? I struggled for 3 hours and you have my baby out already? I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock because I had pushed for so long. I couldn't believe my baby was out. Baby was born fine. She's healthy. She was 6 pounds, 6 ounces, 20 inches tall, and she is my everything. Literally, she cried for like 2 seconds, and then as soon as they put her against me, she stopped crying, and she had her eyes wide open. She's a great baby. She mainly cries when she's hungry, when she has a wet or poopy diaper, or when she's having a hard time falling asleep. And that's basically it, guys. She doesn't cry for anything else. She's such a good baby. I'm super blessed, because I don't know what I would do with a crazy baby. I think I would like be super depressed. Your life changes a lot, you know, when you have a baby. It's not about you anymore. It's about baby, and it's about baby's needs, and I don't know, baby just becomes a priority. So baby was born healthy. I had her naturally with the epidural, but there was complications after I delivered her. Nothing wrong with her. It was mainly me. Basically, one of my, I think some part of my insides were open. I think it's called a vaginal wall. And the doctor said that it was a pretty big tear. And I did tear down there, but this is a tear from your insides, like your vaginal wall. And she needed to take me to the operating room. And I was terrified. I was like, okay, my baby's already out. What's going on? Why am I being taken to the operating room? I was super scared because obviously I didn't get a C-section because I wanted to avoid the operating room. And yet there I am in the operating room, which was not what I had planned, but that's where I ended up. So basically, when she was coming down, or I don't know how it works, she tore one of my walls, and the doctor was basically able to see like my stomach, and it was a pretty bad tear. She said it was one of the biggest she had ever seen. And I've been obviously recovering because I didn't just have a natural like labor. I had surgery done, so it's been a little bit more difficult than I had anticipated, because when you have surgery it takes a little bit longer to heal. So all I remember was moving to a different bed. They put like this much of some kind of medicine and I passed out. I don't remember anything that they did. I wasn't awake. I wasn't aware. So once I got out of the operating room, I think my surgery was about like 45 minutes, which is I think it's a pretty long surgery, 45 minutes for like a tear. When I think of a tear, I think of something that needs to be stitched back up, and that's it. After I got out, I was pretty drugged. My boyfriend kept telling me all these things I was telling the nurses, and they were like cracking up. But I was drugged, so I mean, what can you do when you're drugged? I mean, you're obviously just gonna talk. It's like kind of when you get your wisdom teeth pulled out. I remember being really cold, super cold. Yeah, I think it was because of the medication they had given me for the surgery. So they put like literally, guys, not even joking, 6 hospital blankets, and they were warm. I was super stoked about that. I was just like, oh yeah, keep piling them up. I was so cold. And then also my heart rate went up, and the nurse said it was because of the medication that they had given me. So I was really like scared because I was drugged, but I kind of was aware of what was happening. She's like, do you normally have a high heart rate? I was like, no, never. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening with my heart rate? Why is it so high? And then she explained to me that it was because of the medication. Then they took me to the recovery room. Normally, they take you to like a smaller room, but since I had gone through surgery, they kept me in the bigger room, which was nice. I wasn't able to get up for a whole day. They had these like compressing things on my legs so that blood clots wouldn't form, and they would just like compress to your legs, and then yeah, it was really weird. And then they had the catheter in me, some type of thing up in my vagina, because obviously I had surgery, and it was like bloody, guys, like bloody. I had lost so much blood, and I hadn't eaten anything, so I was just like hanging in there because I'm pretty sure of the IUD. So I was taking so much medication after. I was taking like a lot of painkillers because I was in so much pain. I wasn't expecting to have surgery done, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like last minute thing. If I lived back in the days, I would have probably bled to death or had an infection and died. So I'm so glad I live in these days where doctors and all of that exist. My little baby's waking up. I'm gonna go grab my baby really quick. 1 second. Here she is. She's a little cutie pie. She just woke up from a nap, and I love her. Now, I don't regret having her naturally because it's such a beautiful experience, and I would highly recommend that if you're able to, you know, give birth naturally, to do it that way. If you need the epidural, get the epidural, because it does help. I mean, obviously it's still gonna be painful. Like towards the end when she was ready to come out, it was definitely painful even with the epidural. I'm just glad I got to experience that. And now I can only have babies by C-section because of what happened. So I am terrified. I don't know what it's like to have a baby by C-section, but I'm terrified by it. I love you, mamas. So, yes, where was I? Are you hungry, mamas? Uh-oh, she's getting angry. It was really hard not being able to get up because baby was crying and I'd want to like help Cisco. Cisco seemed really tired, and you know, obviously we've never had children before, so I wanted to help him. So he's been super supportive and super helpful. I couldn't ask for anyone better than him. He's been absolutely amazing. My mom's been there. I was in the hospital for 2 days. The second day, the nurse told me, if you start walking, you might be able to get discharged and go home. So when I heard that, I got up like right away because yes, I was in so much pain down there. I mean, I had just delivered a baby and I had surgery done down there. It was kind of a lot, but I wanted to go home because I was really tired and I wanted to get some rest. So I started walking. Yeah, that's basically it. And then this little munchkin came along. I've been super busy being a mom, changing lots of diapers, feeding her. In the beginning I was breastfeeding, but then I wasn't producing enough milk, and she had that jaundice thing that babies get when they're little, when they need sunlight, and it was raining for like a week. The sun wouldn't come out, so I had to give her formula because, you know, her system needed to be cleaned out because she was like pooping like black poop that isn't good for the babies. They need to like start pooping like, you know, normal. And we decided to give her formula. The nurse saw me walking and I wasn't gonna sit down at all because I was like, I need to get out of this hospital. I need to go home and sleep, because literally we hadn't slept. I like the fact that baby was always in the room with us because that way we knew she was safe and all that, but it was exhausting. It was exhausting because I hadn't slept since my contractions started. Alrighty guys, she's getting a little bit fussy. So that's basically my labor and delivery story. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really have missed you, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.